this evening.
Okay.
Hi guys, I think everyone's here, so basically just want to thank you for coming, welcome. We're going to try to, we have a bunch of experts up here, we're going to pick their brains before the evening is over. So we'll let them all introduce themselves, tell you what's going on, and go from there. Would you like to start off, because you're our hostess for this evening?
I would love to start off, Jim. Thank you. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. I am Susie Waymeyer, and I am the Executive Director here at Wickshire Senior Living, formerly Elmcroft, which I apologize. You know, when the first flyers went out, it said Elmcroft at Fort Harrison. We are under new ownership as of January 22nd, and very excited to be a part of a new startup company based out of Brentwood, Tennessee. And so it's a very exciting, lots of changes, lots of opportunities for my residents and staff. So very excited and love that you're here tonight, and I hope we can pick all our brains and learn something new. Okay?
Cheryl, you want to get started? We'll just kind of work our way
Sure.
across.
Hello everyone, I'm Cheryl with Guardian Angel Hospice. I have worked for Guardian Angel Hospice for about 4 years now. I'm a degreed school teacher and a former Montessori preschool owner for about 2 decades. And my mom got sick, hospice just was a God-changing thing for me. So I got into the ministry by selling non-medical home care at first, and then worked my way into hospice. We are a privately owned company. We have an office. My office is out of Carmel. We have an office, our hub, out of Kokomo, and then we have an office in Logansport and Lafayette. We do things, I feel, as a hospice company a lot different in that we can cater to the needs of not only the patient but the families. We change things up. It's not standard when somebody goes on hospice to put them on pain meds. We have a wonderful aromatherapy program that a lot of our hospice patients opt to start off with. Because the word hospice can be scary, we talk to them about how it really and truly a form of palliative care. And it's an extra set of hands that is earned by Medicare. Everybody has earned that benefit. It's free. So again, not only does it support the patients, but the families as much. We feel like taking that anxiety piece off and educating our families. And sometimes people, like as far as staff in nursing facilities and assisted livings, it's just a win-win. The patient just does so much better. A lot of times they're on hospice, and at the beginning, they actually do a little bit better because of that extra layer of, loving care. So our aromatherapy program is something that's very unique. We do something called Angel Touch. I forgot, am I supposed to go through the whole thing, or
We just
is
kind of
this a
introduce
quick
yourself and then we'll
introduction?
go with, yeah.
So sorry, I forgot that part. Okay, so we will talk about the Angel Touch later.
I'm Amber Gerard. I'm with Home Care Assistance. A lot of what we do is the one-on-one support wherever your loved one is at home. Our focus is 2 things. One is going to be the non-medical personal care, and second is really helping change the relationship that you have with your loved one. So a lot of people feel burdened to make meals, do laundry. They feel like they're spending a lot of that time doing all of these extra activities, running errands, and with in-home services, you get to actually just spend time with who you love, and you pick up all of that. So that is Home Care Assistance.
Carrie Mann, I'm an attorney that works with the elderly, but more importantly, I'm here to work on behalf of Senior Solutions, which is a company that we use to facilitate and assist in obtaining VA and Medicaid assistance, make people eligible for it, and get the applications in on those sorts of programs. I am only the attorney for the company, and I do the things such as the health care packets, the trusts, and things like that, and probate in the end.
My name is Robert Hayward from American Advisor Group, also known as AAG. We're one of the largest leading reverse mortgage specialists out there. But my approach is a holistic approach to mortgage itself, really trying to find what makes sense for a client, whether it be a reverse mortgage, a FHA, a VA, or a conventional loan itself. So I'm really trying to educate the customer about what the builder needs, the short-term and long-term goals. That's the main thing there. So really, today, we're talking about senior care. So what makes senior care better for you? How to tap into some of the equity you have, that you have a home that you did nothing to gain, nothing to lose, but pay for the home. But how do you make that equity work for you in a different way? My goal is we should understand that better. That's better for you there. So.
Okay, well, I'm Julie Cromer. I'm with Remax Ability Plus in Carmel. I've been a realtor for 15 years, and I'm also a certified senior residential care specialist. I went through all this stuff with my mom a couple of years ago, so I'm familiar with what it is from a personal standpoint. And so if you have any questions about like how to get the house ready or what to do, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Awesome. I'm Jamie Hopper with Money Concepts. I'm a registered financial consultant. My independent team and I, we do manage assets, but where I fit into this is I focus hard on helping people get asset-based long-term care insurance. Like many of the people here in this group, the reason I'm here, you'll see my brochure in the back, these are my parents. I lost my mom 16 years ago because she did not have access to long-term care assistance. And had she done that, we may have had her longer. And even if she wasn't still here, her quality of life would have been so much better. And there's a bad stigma with long-term care insurance because it used to be use it or lose it. The premiums weren't guaranteed. All of that's changed in the last couple of years. And I recommend anybody between the ages of 45 and 78 have a discussion to learn what's available, because the products out there now are absolutely phenomenal. And if you don't need it, if you're blessed not to need it, your family gets the money back in a death benefit. There's no reason not to have it. So I'm here for that reason, and I love talking to people about this. So Jim, thank you so much.
All right. Jim Morgan, I'm with Caring Transitions. Caring Transitions, we basically help. I always say we take the deer in the headlight looks out of your face when you're having to deal with all this stuff. You've got, all of a sudden you're getting ready to move out of a home that you've been in for maybe decades, and you've got stuff and clutter and things that you don't know what to do with, and will they fit in the new place or what have you. It could be just downsizing, it could be moving to independent living, it could be moving to, assisted living, what have you. It could also be moving from one assisted living area to maybe, we do a lot of that where they're going to move, like memory care. So we can do all these different issues. We will go through and literally sort through all the papers, making sure we get the VA documents, find those for them so that they're there, because we know how important it is that you have those. And a lot of times it's very difficult to get your hands on them if you lose yours. So we make sure we try to find those. We try to find valuables, jewelry, personal things. We know to go through every book and fan through, because especially in the people from the 30s may have hidden cash inside books, actually pinned it to the back of drapes. We just did a house. This particular one was a level 4 hoarder. So literally I could not find furniture in there. I knew it was there because there was like waves that was probably where it was. And we were able to find a wad of hundreds this thick, in the middle of some boxes and papers and junk and stuff like that. I'm sure that more than covered any expenses we had coming in their door, okay? But we do sort through, we do try to find those things, find the jewelry, find the what have you, to get it to that family. We oversee the move to the next place. We then we can unpack it at the other place and set it up. If we're dealing with a memory care issue, we can do it for anybody, but for memory care specifically, we'll photograph everything at the old place and then replicate it exactly at the new place. The pictures will be in the exact same configuration. If the nightstand's on the left, it's going to be on the left. If the alarm clock's to the front, it'll be at the front. So it's going to be just like where they left, okay? We can do liquidation of, we can do clean outs, we can do estate sales, we can do online auctions, we do document shredding, and we can literally move you down the hall or across the United States. There's 300 franchises, so we can move you literally from one country, one place to another, and take care of it. So that's kind of that. Any questions for the team so far? Well, so if you don't, I will. Okay. But, brand new location, okay? We've told us a new name, we got that. Tell me all your scope of services and things you do here.
So we are a small assisted living. We have 58 apartments. They consist of studio, 1 bedroom, and 2 bedroom. We have 24-hour nursing care. All meals are included in the base service rent for the month, and apartment cleaning, and 1 load of laundry per week. We are currently about 94% occupied. We've had some real luck in the last 6 months, and been fortunate, but we have apartments available. So anyone needing someone, if you have someone in your household or in your family or that you know of, that would be beneficial for them to have the assisted living environment, please have them come to Wickshire Senior Living at Fort Harrison.
You were on a roll, so I'll let you go back to
Oh
you.
my gosh. Yes, it was. I think I left off with Angel Touch. So with our aromatherapy program, we've been in existence as a company for about 18 years. And out of the 18 years, Ocean, who is our aromatherapist, and she was born for this job with her name, she's been with us and she got certified. So she has clocked about 250 hours of classroom time to become a certified aromatherapist. So with that, we do something called Angel Touch, which is basically our nurses and aides do a therapeutic touch from the patient's fingertips up through their arms, both sides, as well as their feet. We use a couple different offerings with the lotions, and we use lotions because it's a little thinner than the creams for the skin. One is lavender with lemongrass, and the other one is orange, more for energy, and lavender's more for obviously like just relaxation. And our patients absolutely love it. For our home patients, we actually take care of the caregivers there as well if they would like the Angel Touch while we're there. And then we care plan through our medical director our oils. At first I thought this was a little woo-woo, I'm not gonna lie, but the reactions that we've had with, especially one specific patient I remember that had pancreatic cancer, and we could not get her pain under control with the pain meds at the hospital, came home, and usually we put the oils on their pulse points here and then back of their neck, depending on where their symptoms are, and it made such a huge difference. It calmed her down. We have another one for constipation because a lot of our patients are on strong pain meds, and that will tend to constipate them. So our volunteer coordinators have come up with these wonderful rice bags that they've created, and then the nurse or aide will rub the oil on the patient's belly, and we warm this bag up for about 2 minutes and then lay the rice bag on their stomach area, and most of the time it loosens things up. We have an oil for end of life called Journey, which is a combination of pain as well as an anxiety blend. These are strong, nothing against like Young Living oils or oils at like you can get at Walmart or whatever, but these have been researched, they're very strong. We do aromatherapy educations if that's something that you'd want to learn about at different various buildings, to just kind of educate the team that's going to be working with the patients, as well as kind of how to teach the healthcare staff kind of how to give a little quality back to their lives too, because anybody that's in healthcare is needs a break every so often. It's a big job. It's an important job. Another thing that we really stand out about is our aides come standard 3 times a week. It doesn't matter where the patient is as far as the level of the disease process. So sometimes, we'll be there every day, doing showers, painting nails, trimming fingernails and toenails, just spending time with the patient, helping the patient eat, and just giving the family a break sometimes. A home patient, we might be able to do that for a little bit, and then the family needs to go to, CVS or something to pick up a med, or go to the grocery store really fast. Another discipline is the nurse that comes in, as well as, like I talked about, the aide. Our chaplain meets our patients where they're at. We've had patients that have no religion, which is fine. And Chaplain Aaron meets our patients exactly where they're at. Sometimes just shooting the breeze is all they need. And then our social worker works on basically helping out with just getting the funeral, memorial services planned, If there's not a DNR or different things planned for their medical, obviously the POA and all of that, we can help set that up. And then we have a great volunteer program too. One of them is actually a veteran, and a lot of our gentlemen patients who are veterans tend to want to speak with that volunteer versus, anybody else. They just feel like they've been through it, so they can open up more so to them. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a comment. If
Sure.
it's with the hospice thing, I think that myself personally, I had no idea what hospice was. I thought it was a morphine drip and, that was about what it was.
So everybody thinks.
And it is anything but that. I mean, it's so much more. A very dear friend of mine she just passed a couple days ago. We just back to the funeral was yesterday.
Sorry.
But she was sent home, pancreatic cancer, she was sent home middle of December from the hospital to hospice and was told she had 6 hours to live. She passed on the 11th. And she was there with her family through Christmas. She was there, through these different things. And her quality of life was obviously dramatically enhanced because of the things that because you were treating I'm not saying you, whoever, but because the hospice was treating the symptoms, not the cause, and was actually elevating her ability to live properly.
And that's what it's all about, Jim. It's elevating the patients and the families just as much. Quality of life, we look at the physical aspect, the emotional and mental aspect, as well as the spiritual aspect. And again, just as much for the patient as the family. It's important to really support and educate everyone to know what to expect each week and kind of where we're at. Me going through this with my own mother, it just took a level of such anxiety and load off my shoulders. My dad passed at 48. He was stationed in Korea, and it was a kind of an Agent Orange situation at 48 years old. But so I'm the oldest of four, and we're from the south side of Chicago. And I didn't know anything about hospice. I was like a deer in headlights. So when I go in and I speak to my patients and families, I really try to always remember that person that I remember being, and that's I guess my biggest gift that I can give back to my mom up there is doing it in her honor and doing it right every single time. And the patients and families, I do feel what we're able to do, empower them, letting them know they're doing a great job is a huge deal. Because you don't know when you're in that situation if you're doing a good job, but you need to be told that. So,
I don't feel like all hospices are created equal.
yeah.
So I think that what you're talking about is maybe it's not the experience I had with my mom,
Yes.
which you know.
Yes, I do. And I'm so
Sounds like
sorry.
you have a real good handle on how to treat people and how to treat the patient and families and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
it's so important.
It's a ministry. Our company is not huge. We're I would say a small to mid-sized company, homegrown 18 years ago, but our plight every day is just to do it for the right reasons. We can't help everyone, but we feel like we're maybe not the right company for every single person because we do believe in choice. But when we were able to be lucky and blessed enough to take care of our patients and families, we really try to give it our all.
I was going to ask the attorney, why would my parents
Come on up here, can you wait?
talk a little bit about the trust. Why would my parents need a trust that you're talking about to do with Medicaid or VA or whatever?
Well, it's important that we know that it's asset-based. And one of the things there are different kinds of trust, obviously, but one of which is a revocable trust. And revocable trust is obviously used to allow you to essentially manage your assets and other things from the grave, so to speak, right? You don't have to probate it, it doesn't go before the court, you don't have to make your business public, and it's it's a lot less burdensome on the family when you pass it. It's a great planning tool to use. But that having been said, a revocable trust is a little different than an irrevocable trust, and when it comes to planning purposes for assistance programs such as the VA and Medicaid, you have to have certain spin downs or thresholds that are financially obligated that you have to be at prior to being eligible for these programs. And one of the unique things about the irrevocable trust is that you can essentially gift to the irrevocable trust, which is what you're doing. The individual who has it, we refer to as the settlor, they gift the money to an irrevocable trust. Now, it is irrevocable, so that means just that. You can't change it once you do it. You put the money and you're gifting it to the trust, and then Medicaid and VA said, wait a minute, you can't just give your money away and say, well, I'm eligible now because I don't have any money, I gave it all to my kids. You can't do that because they have clawback, right? But the IRS and the law has allowed us to give an irrevocable trust, but pay a penalty, right? If I'm going to give the money away, I got to pay a certain penalty. And they equate that penalty to whatever amount it is that that state, Medicaid is federal, but it's implemented by the states, whatever that amount is attributed towards your payback. It sounds very complicated, but it's really not. So the average healthcare cost in a facility is $6,700. I forget the exact numbers, but it's relatively close to that. That amount for every month that you put money into that trust, that $6,700 is protected from the government clawback. So in 2 months' time, you'll have $13,000 that's protected from the government, right? So in the worst case scenario, if you come to me and you've already done all your proper documentation, your parents have got all the healthcare documents that they need, they've got their healthcare, their durable powers, and all the other documents they might need. If you've got those properly in order, then we can draft a trust, an irrevocable trust, and allow them to gift into that, right? Once they gift into that, they pay certain penalties because they're going to have to pay anyway. The worst case scenario is I can save half of your assets, period. If you have $100,000 in Medicaid, you got to get down to $2,000. I can save you half that $98,000 if you come to me today, because we're gifted over, and then the time period for which the Medicaid can claw back is being etched off. Each time you make a payment, it gives you back some money. It gives you back money. So if you divide it by half, I'm paying half for the health care, and the other half is preserved for your benefactors, for your estate going forward. So it sounds a little more complicated, and that's exactly why you hire somebody like Senior Solutions to go through that complicated process with you and explain to you how it works, how to prepay so you don't have those penalties coming up on Medicaid when you do pass. Okay? Thanks for letting me get my spiel out there real quick now. I'm done.
Well, but on that, so on that same thing, so say if you have, because I think that's one of the biggest things that people do not understand in this world, because I know myself, I was actually told when my in-laws went into assisted living, that assisted living person told us that we had to spend down before we could get any assistance, and they basically made it sound like the world was going to come to an end if we ever let them get to Medicaid, because then we were bad kids and we put them in the poorhouse. Okay? So we did a really good job of doing that, so we ended up spending, we paid for 2 funerals out of pocket because we didn't know what the heck we were doing, okay? I now know all that is BS, and I had a whole lot better opportunities out there, okay? If you don't do a 5-year look back or a 3-year look back for VA, okay, but let's say you have, you already said you can save 40 to 60% probably. Correct. Even then, you could have if it's a couple and one's in a facility and one is in the community, you can probably save all of it that way.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
What things would you tell someone to do to start preparing for this down the road?
I feel like you've been softball pitched to me.
I know.
It's easy to hear. It's very important. I think oftentimes it's missed, and you see people like Prince and Michael Jackson. Their attorneys should be sued for malpractice, right? Think about this. How can you have that sort of wealth and not have somebody tell you the basic planning tools in life? You have to have a power of attorney. You need healthcare power of attorney, a durable power of attorney, a living will. What would happen if you're unable to make the decision? Does somebody pull the plug? Do you want them to continue feeding you through the tubes, things like this? Now, there are reasons for all of that. Some are religious, some are otherwise, and there could be reasons for that, and I get that. But you need those basic tools, because if you come to me and you don't have a power of attorney, and mom and dad have already been diagnosed with some sort of memory issues, I can't do that stuff for you now. It's too late. Now you're going to hire me for $4,000 to go get guardianship for you, and it's going to be a little longer process. I'm going to have to go to the courts. They're going to get a guardian ad litem appointed for them. And your parents might be just enough on the edge that it's questionable, or they get belligerent, or they get upset with you, right? And there's no reason to cause that, because it's so simple and easy and inexpensive to do a healthcare package. I do want to mention that there are a couple of things, certainly when you're dealing with the elderly, that all of us should have powers of attorneys, giving it to somebody. Now, there are 2 types. So there's a springing power of attorney, and that's the kind of power of attorney that says, look, you're going to have the power for me, but only if the doctor says I'm not capable of making those decisions, right? And that's one way, and that's the way you generally do it when you're relatively young. and it will fulfill the needs should you get older and dementia before you realize that it was there and you have to change things. Once you get the doctor's note, it has to go with that power of attorney to make it a power of attorney. When you're dealing with elderly people, and I suggest people that are 65, 70, I mean, we're all living a little longer, you do an immediate power of attorney. That doesn't mean that your daughter or son or whomever it is that you've appointed can go out and write all your checks and do those things, although they could, so it has to be someone they trust. I suggest that we do an immediate power of attorney. We don't have to worry about getting a doctor's note or anything. If something happens rather quickly and we have to move quickly, you've got the power, it's already there. You simply hand the paperwork over and it works. I do recommend that occasionally, about every 7 to 10 years, if you've got an older healthcare power of attorney or a durable power of attorney and they're still capable of signing for themselves, that we do update it, because it will often be questioned when documents start to get old that, hey, there has to be something else out here. And there's other ways around it. I can do attestations, affidavits, and different things to clear those issues up, but you don't want to have to come to me. I'm going to address all those issues up front and get those taken care of so that we don't have those issues going forward. So,
Well, I personally had a situation, my uncle went into a medical issue that also basically meant to where he wasn't capable of really thinking of things at that particular time. And I'm dealing with the hospital, I'm a nephew,
Yep.
okay? Which means basically,
Nothing.
yeah, exactly. But I am the closest thing he has, okay? And I was in a situation where if something had gone further, some judge in Marion County was gonna make decisions, and I had no choice or nothing to say about it. Fortunately, he came out of it, we were able to get things taken care of, but it's like, that was an absolute panic time.
Terrifying experience
Yeah.
and expensive.
Yeah, well, I thought that's the way,
Yeah, I think along those lines, it's really important. Like you said, you don't have that power, and if you have to go to the judge, I hate the scare tactics that you see in the newspaper. 13 common mistakes, the state's going to take your money. The truth and reality of it is, the state almost never, in my 20-some years, has ever taken anybody's money and given it to some fund out there. There is a succession right by Indiana law that if you don't have a will, you do have a will. Indiana wrote it for you. And it's pretty ordinary. I mean, it says, this is a little off topic because it's not for the elderly, but for the younger people, if you're married and your husband has a house in his name and you're not on it jointly, right? So maybe he's got some rentals or something like that. If he passes away, where does that go? To his wife or to his children or what? It's 50-50 in Indiana. That's what people don't realize. So I got a young child, but I've got houses that I've got rentals that are in my name, my LLC's name or whatever. And now my wife has just lost her husband and she only gets half of what's there and she needs all of it to raise those children. We got other issues. So I suggest that you come see an attorney. That's why it's not always appropriate to go online and or to Office Max and pick up those documents. Plus, they're not specific to the state of Indiana, which has some unique powers that allows you to do things like create trust with a power of attorney. Can't create a person's will with a power of attorney, but you can a trust, right? So it's huge that you recognize these things. And like I said, a healthcare packet is only like $500 from an attorney. So I don't know why most people don't do it. And timing, I guess, all of us are busy, but it's something we all need to at least consider or think about.
I have a question about trust. Can you stipulate in a trust, like say if you're dealing with a piece of real estate and you don't want the property to go commercial, you want it to stay farmland, so you can probably dictate that into a trust, right?
Well, you say you can, yes, you can ask for anything in a trust, but once it transfers to whomever it was,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to control it at that point.
Okay.
Because there will be other issues dealing with zoning and all the other issues that you have. So no, you will not be able to control things like it. It goes back to the old days when you used to, unfortunately, say you couldn't sell to certain individuals, right? If they were homosexuals or whatever, you couldn't do that. You could put it in a document, but it wouldn't hold weight, and you would have a difficult time enforcing that one. Make sure your family knows your wishes, though. That's part of your planning package, is to make sure your family knows your wishes and desires. Maybe it passes on to a family member, and they know what you want to have done with it, and that you have given them, look, if you do sell this, I prefer that it be sold to an individual who is going to retain it as farmland as opposed to commercializing it.
Just one more thing, I kind of cheated because Terry actually did my parents' trust and, but he doesn't get the money. My mom and stepdad put the money in the trust. And my stepdad's actually passed away since then, but Senior Solutions got them on VA benefits, which even though when my stepdad passed, my mom still gets.
He was the veteran, by the way. Dad
Yes,
was
he
the
was a
veteran.
veteran, but they also do that service. So she's got about $1,400 a month right now of income that she wouldn't have. And the paperwork is a nightmare, so Matt and Wes, which is who Carrie works with, took them through that process and got them, my stepdad had to go in the nursing home. But my mom could use some of that VA money for services that you two on the end provide, like, I mean, you can use it for care, things like that, but my mom is more relaxed because half of that money she has is protected. It can be used for her, not to go to Hawaii or something, but for her needs, but Medicaid can't take it.
You're exactly
or,
right.
you know.
She's given up control. The way that irrevocable trust, it's a unique type of trust that the individual who's the settler that needs the care has dumped their funds into there. They've gifted it, right, into that trust. But they can't pull that money back because once you give it away, you can't pull it back. The government said, pull it back, give it to us. Don't take the government money if you've got access to that money. So it's actually in control. You have to give it to somebody else to be in control of. But you put controls on that money that's in there. You've told those children it can only be used if it's used for me and for purposes that I need. So it can't be that, hey, I decided my caregiver's daughter, she's really struggling, she needs a new car, I'd like to give her a car. They can't use the money for that purposes. But if they say, hey, you know what, my TV, I need a bigger screen TV, I'm not seeing well, I need a hearing aid that's not covered. Those sorts of things, they can then pay for, right? So it's a quality of life issue again. You can help them out with that money. It has to be used for them only though. It can't be used for anything else, can't be borrowed against, you can't say, wait, it's my inheritance, I know I'm gonna get, there's $500,000 there and there's only 3 siblings, we all get $158,000. You can't do that. It can only be used for the parents. And then when your parents pass, the money you spent on that trust has just been saved 3 times over alone on the fact that you don't have to probate it now. Because those assets are in there, they're protected, and then the trustee, whoever's been entrusted with it, the trustee, then disperses the money to everybody. There's no judge, no petitioning of the courts, no publishing of the will, none of that has to occur. It's all outside the purview of the court, and you don't need an attorney to do it. It's pretty straightforward because the attorney did all the work up front.
Amber, would you like to go into some of the
I'm
things
so
that
sorry.
you do when you walk into someone's
No,
home?
that's,
Oh,
yes,
right.
sure. I was actually gonna piggyback a little bit off of that. I think a lot of people are nervous to meet and talk about power of attorneys, living wills, things like that, because it feels scary and it feels very final.
So true.
I grew up in a healthcare family, so this was dinner talk for us, honestly. And I'm very lucky to be in a family that likes each other. So we've had regular conversations every 3, 4, 5 years. If our parents have a new asset or anything like that, we sit down and talk about, okay, if mom were in a car accident tomorrow, what would she like? We do it as a family, so we can all ask different questions. We're all aware, we all hear the same thing. Doesn't mean that we all interpret it the same way. But, so I always kind of say, just to lessen the fear of those conversations, grab a bottle of wine and make it kind of a family conversation instead of it feeling very talking to your children, turning it into a conversation and people can ask questions and a little bit more relaxed. Like I said, my family likes each other, so that might make it a little different, but it is very important early on. I urged my parents to do it in their 40s, and they're now in their 50s, but now it's less stress on me and my brothers, knowing that if something were to happen to my parents suddenly, I don't have to clamor around in fear of what am I supposed to do? Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing what my parents would want me to do? I'm not fighting with my brother over who gets the house, which seems really trivial, but can cause extra stress that doesn't need to be there. So that's my big suggestion, just
You're
piggybacking
absolutely
off
right.
of you
I think
is just,
the parents love that they can make it, I mean, there's no greater pain than when your child's hurt, right? Or has to go through difficult times. So if I today can make that decision that I've already made all the decisions, the tough ones for you, all you have to do is just follow these directions. It's kind of a relief for me as well as it is for you. So
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, great point.
so,
Well, another area I think that we haven't discussed along these lines are the advanced directives.
sure.
Because, when you are bringing your loved ones to come into my community to live, and you've got, you know, all these different things that are going on, all these changes that are going to be happening with mom and dad, and they've had some sort of decline, if you will, typically, that they're going to be needing that 24-hour nursing care and some, you know, some security, that then we say to you, now, if something happens, do you want us to start CPR or not? You know, and it's like, it's just another layer of that anguish that you're already feeling. And so, you know, that's a conversation that I urge everyone to have with their loved ones. You know, what, mom, dad, what are your wishes, you know? So.
Yeah, and just because you say it, your wishes are one thing this year, doesn't mean it can't change
Exactly.
in the next couple of years. So just, like I said, keeping it a casual conversation.
I like the wine idea.
Yeah, my family, we enjoy our alcoholic beverages, so we usually make a little dinner out of it, and, but yeah, it's been one way for us to kind of keep in check. My stepfather had a terminal diagnosis, and so that kind of kickstarted it, and, you know, as sad as it can be, and there are a lot of those dinners that were tearful, but we were able to let him pass with dignity and donate his items to the charities that he wished. And I think that's a really nice way to honor him and your loved ones as they kind of travel down that road. So just piggybacking. So.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Home care in general, though, like I said, our big thing is really helping you have a strong relationship with whoever it is, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. I always use the grocery store as an example. You know, if my grandma were to call me and say, hey, can you pick up some groceries? I'm busy. You know, I've got different social outings, I've got family to take care of, you know, significant others to plan with. So grandma calls me and wants groceries. My first thing is just send me a list, I'll pick it up and I'll drop it off, right? I've got half an hour, let's go. When we have someone like a home care agency come in, something as simple as a grocery store can suddenly become a social outing, right? You can walk up and down the aisles, you're getting your exercise, you're talking about different recipes, so you're starting to reminisce. You're actually planning meals, so now our nutrition is improving. Sometimes you can every grocery store has a coffee shop now, so you can sit halfway through, rest, get a cup of coffee, people watch, talk to other people who are at the grocery store. And suddenly what was gonna be a 30-minute, give me your list, I'm in and I'm out, good to see you, turns into a productive social outing. So it changes the way your parents live or your grandparents live their day-to-day life, but it also allows you to come in for the extra hour or two that you have in your day and spend quality time with your loved ones. You're not rushing around worrying about the laundry. You're not rushing around thinking, did mom wash her hair today? You're not rushing around thinking, what if she falls during the day walking from the couch to the bathroom? We take all of that frustration and worry and concern so that you get to actually spend quality time together. That's our big focus.
Robert, you're gonna help people get into a downsizing situation or whatever with a reverse mortgage. If you don't know about reverse mortgage purchase, you want to pick his brain because it's amazing, the opportunities. It's not what most people think, so.
Yeah, most people think about reverse mortgage, they think the wrong thing. Past history, I can say I do understand that reason why. But prior to 1984, yeah, a lot of things went wrong back in that time. There was no regulation happening then. But after that, the regulation took place, and regulations that really taken place were not, it protects all homeowners of the home, even the heirs of the home itself. So no one's taking your home. It's allowed you to, but it does allow someone to have a home that they may be struggling to do some things, have a home free and clear. You can tap into the equity using many different ways. Or it can be someone that's doing very well and have a portfolio you want to try to protect. You can use that to do that. Or you may want to downsize, you may want to buy a condo or a smaller home. You can use the reverse mortgage for purchase. There's many different ways to do. It's my whole goal with every client, really a holistic approach. What are you trying to get accomplished, short-term and long-term? Because as we know, sometimes what you want to do short-term does not help you long-term. So we'll make sure those things match up right for you, put you in the best possible solution for you itself. So that's why we'll spend time there. But reverse mortgage is a plethora of ways to make it work for you. Just really just get educated about it, open your minds and listen take away the fear. It's not about making you do it, it's about doing a whole good job of educating you about what all your options are and make sure you understand 100% of that.
I was in a conversation with some realtors today about reverse mortgages and what can be done with them, and one is the fact that someone can buy a home. Let's say they're trying to move out of a 2-story home that's older and they're looking for a ranch. Everybody says they want a ranch. Ranch is the most expensive homes on the planet to build. So when they go to that, maybe more money, they don't want to take a mortgage out. So all of a sudden they don't have any payment for the rest of their lives. You know, so they can get in with like maybe 50% down and nothing for the rest of their life. There's other things. I was talking to somebody the other day who is very financially astute, okay? And they looked at this as a financial tool. This particular gentleman has a very high income in retirement, okay? But he had 401ks and an IRA where he has to, at 70 and a half years old, take money out each year. So what he does, and he's more sophisticated, far more sophisticated than I, but he figures out a way to manipulate it to where he does the very minimum, but then he does a big lump sum about every 5 years. Well, in that 5 years in his reverse mortgage purchase, he hasn't made any payments. So then in the 5 years where he pulls a lump sum out, he then makes he pays off all the interest that he didn't pay and offsets all of that money he comes out and doesn't pay taxes on it, okay? So that's pretty slick. And then he just, then what he does is that money just becomes a bank account. It becomes like a
line of credit.
Yeah.
It's many different ways. That's why there's so much you can do with a reverse mortgage. If you're a high-end user, we can show you how to make that work for you. You use your portfolio. Because every time you use a portfolio, you take money out of that, that's tax you got to pay. And things like that, you say, well, shucks. By the time you look at it, you say, well, and maybe this market may not be going where you want. It may make more sense to use a reverse mortgage to equity out of your home there to take care of things you want to do, or take the money to pay back the money out of your investment itself. And this money taken out of your home is tax-free because guess what? You own your home. You don't have to declare it. You don't have to pay taxes on it. It's a benefit to you. And you can also leave the house to your heirs. And hypothetically, in like 2008 when the market crashed, your house was worth, when you started, the house was worth $200,000. The market crashed, now your house only worth $100,000. You may owe your house. You may say, well, I owe $200,000 on my home, but you're only paying back the home at 95% of the current value of the home right now. You said, what? I said, all the rest of the insurance part, make that part forgiving. So there's many different ways to help you to show you how to use a reverse mortgage. On a high-end user, or even the ones who definitely need something, maybe want to just maintain themselves in their home. So I hope we'll just really show you many different ways to show you to use it. Also spend time learning about educating, to think what you don't just turn your mind off into it, but at least educate yourself to make it better tool for yourself, how to use a tool for yourself. And I work with a lot of financial advisors on that approach, help them understand their client, and really, and sometimes you take your portfolio and stretch your portfolio a lot longer than you never thought it could go.
I was told one time that insurance money for life insurance is non-taxable when it comes time to transfer that to the sibling.
Well, that's in insurance. It basically, when you talk about for your health insurance, you're talking about like life insurance.
Life insurance.
But life insurance, they're gonna still pay some on that part there.
Okay.
They will pay some of that. But when you talk about your home, when you take money out of your home to give your client, I had a client in California there, he had a $900,000 home. His whole goal was to give his kids money without taxes. So he qualified for about $700 some bucks out of that home, but he had to do it in 2 stages. He took the first part, gave to his kids. He could talk about him and said, I could see my kids use it without any taxes to them at all, without paying any kind of inheritance tax at all. So he gave it to them, and they also still got the house to them, but they got to give them cash tax-free. So again, that's the benefit of that, because you're not paying tax on those dollars.
How many do that? Julie,
Yes.
you work with people helping them to deal with the homes, getting rid of the homes,
Yes.
downsizing, so why don't you give your 2 cents?
Sometimes the parents have already vacated the home, and so now it's up to the children who may or may not even live nearby, in the state at all. And so they're gonna need some help getting, like with caring transitions that come in and take care of everything. They will box stuff up, they'll give it to charity, the family can come in and take what they want and decide, you know, we want the rest of this to go to, you know, their favorite charity or whatever. What I always recommend, especially if it's your parents' home, if you want to sell it, if you don't want someone in the family to have it and you want to sell it, it's a good idea to have a home inspection as you know, as soon as possible. Like maybe while Caring Transitions is going through it, because highly likely mom and dad haven't been up in the attic in a few years. There's probably deferred maintenance, you know, and so better to have a list of things you need to do in order to get the most that you can out of the home, and then have someone come in and make those repairs that you want made. You don't have to make them all, but the big ones, you know, you might find that the windows are getting ready to fall out or something. We had that in the house the other day. But just know that these are the things that need done, and then we'll put a for sale sign out front. And another thing a lot of people don't realize is if there's a mortgage on the home, someone's going to have to keep paying that, and someone's going to have to keep paying those utilities until we get it sold. So that may or may not be a burden on the family, and so you want to get things moving as quickly as possible. The stats are it takes 6 to 9 months from the time you decide it's time to sell mom and dad's home till the time it's ready to sell. 6 to 9 months, and that's a long time to be paying, you know, your stuff and their stuff at the same time.
All the more reason to give your property away to your siblings and let them manage it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can think of it,
You
sometimes
can still live there,
people
but they do
don't think
the
that far
fundamental
ahead.
things, the
Yeah.
utilities, the gas, electric.
Yeah, it's a lot, it can be quite a lot, and not very many families get to that point where there aren't ruffled feathers and arguments. So the more you can have ironed out ahead of time, the better.
Obviously, you do retail with the homes, helping them get them on the market. Do you work with like investors to help do like quick sales or like hard money people will, things like that for the ones that aren't ready or?
Yeah, I work with wholesalers, I work with hard money lenders, I've got investors from Indianapolis and a few from out of state. And so if it's just a matter of we want it all gone quick and dirty, we can figure that out too. Yeah, sometimes it's better just to get it out of the way and move on.
Depends on the people's circumstances.
Oh, it sure does, yeah. Everybody's different.
Jamie, into your whole world, you've got a big several plates there, so I'll let you do those.
I appreciate that. When it comes to the asset-based long-term care, the thing that people need to realize, it's not about buying insurance, it's about protecting your family. It's about protecting your spouse, whether it be the man or the woman, from having to take care of you. In dementia cases, the caregiver dies 63% of the time before the patient, and it doesn't have to be that way. Many times, there's a lot of ladies on this panel that have had to take care of their parents. Most of the time, it's the oldest daughter or daughter-in-law that, I don't want to use the term get stuck, but ends up taking care of their parents whether they want to or not. Asset-based long-term care, the key thing about it is it helps you stay home longer. But some of the benefits are the very first phone call you want to make after your doctor says that you can't perform 2-year ADLs. With the asset-based long-term care, you're provided with care concierge service. That care concierge is going to walk you through the entire process of getting care. So when you call them, the first thing they're going to do is ask you who your caregivers are, what do you want to do, and they're going to come in and they're going to train your family how to take care of you. They're going to train your spouse, your kids, your neighbor, whoever's going to be in charge of your care, how to care for you properly, to make sure they're not hurting themselves, make sure they're not hurting you. The next thing they're going to do is they're going to fit your house with all the durable medical equipment, so you're able to live in your own home safely. It keeps you home longer. If your spouse or your children are still working, you've got access to adult daycare, so they can go do the things they need to do. You're going to be cared for properly, have 3 meals a day, still live a good life, have a good social life. When you do need care in your home, they're going to bring people in to provide care. I would have loved for Amber her company to be able to take care of my mom. That would have been fantastic for what she needed. But they're going to pay for that. whether you need it a couple hours a day, 24 hours a day, up to your monthly benefit amount. It's absolutely amazing. If your family needs respite care, you know, I just had somebody this week that had a death in the family, needed to go away for a few days. They couldn't leave their spouse, but I was like, you've got access to respite care. So they were able to actually have somebody come in for the weekend so they could go attend to a family funeral and do the things they needed to do. It's all paid for with long-term care. When you do get to the point where you need to move into a community, they're gonna walk you through the entire process. They're gonna ask you what kind of amenities you want, what area of town you wanna be in. We know what your budget is, and they're gonna give you a couple suggestions for places to look at, and they're actually gonna help you get there. And then once you're there, if you need a hospital stay, they're gonna pay for your room, or they're gonna hold your room in the community for up to 21 days when you go to the hospital, as opposed to some of these places that are up to capacity. There's no guarantee your room will be there when you get back. Long-term care pays for all that, and it's absolutely amazing. So it helps you stay home longer, and there's no reason anybody should not have the conversation. Now, I talked about the financial part earlier. The nice thing about it is we say you're moving conservative money from this bucket to this bucket over here. If you leave it here, you're gonna take a risk of spending all of that and through everything else and ending up on Medicare. If you're the first spouse to have an issue, what are you gonna do to your healthy spouse that may be here another 20 or 30 years? You wanna take that risk. Let's protect them. If you move it over into this bucket here, the long-term care bucket, you're gonna spend your money first, and then the long-term care rider takes over, and it's gonna pay everything else up to your monthly benefit amount. There's no reason not to have it. There are some companies that will actually have a policy that's joint for both spouses, and they'll do an unlimited term. So if we have dementia cases where somebody's gonna need care for 15 to 20 years, it'll pay for the entire 15 to 20 years, up to your monthly benefit amount. So no matter what you do, have a conversation about it, because this is the best way to protect your family. Because what I see as a financial advisor is the three things people are most concerned about are having a dependable income when they retire, they want to protect their money, and they want to have money to pass on to their kids. Asset-based long-term care is the only thing that I can talk to them about that accomplishes all three of those things. It provides more income than you need it protects your nest egg from devastation, and if you don't use it, you give a present to your kids or your grandkids. There's nothing else that can do that.
I was listening to Carry Transitions, what we do. One of the things that I can tell you is, and one of the reasons I'm doing these panels, and I'm doing one every month somewhere, and I bring all of these experts in that know stuff that I wish I knew, okay, because I was a consumer in this world for 14 years before I became a vendor. And I'm like, where the hell were you guys when I needed you, okay? So, because we've made unbelievably bad mistakes because we didn't know you, okay? Or nobody told me what an elder law attorney can do for me or what, you know, in-home care could do for me. I didn't know, okay? So we were making decisions on what we thought or what someone said or what have you, okay? My in-laws, I ended up, that was our virgin jump into the senior world. They were in a situation we had to get them closer to us. We had to get them into assisted care. My mother-in-law was a faller. She used to fall all the time. And they lived in Wabash, Indiana. And so she would fall about 2 or 3 times a week. My father-in-law couldn't pick her up. And so, because he was COPD, arthritis so bad, he couldn't do anything about it. So they had to have the ambulance come in like 2 or 3 times a week to help get her back into a chair. This was insane, okay? And then if they did take her to the hospital, I don't even think it's open now, but Wabash Hospital was a triage center. They would then pack her up into an ambulance and take her to Fort Wayne. I mean, you can't be an hour and a half away from a doctor. It doesn't, you know, it can't happen. So we ended up moving them down here. Guess what? We were the poster children for sandwich generation. I don't know if you all know what I'm talking about. We had kids in travel sports. We both had jobs. We had them now that we were taking care of. And by the way, she continued to fall. Nothing changed. Now she fell into assisted care that had rules that anytime she fell, she had to go to the emergency room, which meant we spent about 2 or 3 nights all night. For some reason, they had to be 8 hours before they'd say, well, we normally send you home, but because you're 80, we're going to keep you. You know, we knew that was coming, but you're walking up for dinner, all of a sudden the phone rings, okay, we're going to the emergency room. So that was going on. It took us 18 months to clean out that house. Okay, because it was an hour and a half away, we had all this other crap going on, we didn't have time, okay? And when we went up there, The very first thing I did, today I know exactly why I would, because we do this for a living, okay? Previously, the only thing, it had to be a God thing, because I have no idea why I did this, okay? I'm excited, I'm gonna throw the very first thing away, I'm gonna get out of my way, this is an easy thing, it was a stack of newspapers and magazines all in a basket by the end of the couch. I'll throw this all away, and that's one thing out of the house. For some reason, I stopped and looked through it, and found the deed to the house. Which then meant we went through every pocket, every book, every
Prevent.
yes, trying to figure out what we might miss, right? 18 months of dealing with that. My mom's turn came up, and we, by the way, planning ahead, I have heard rumors of people doing this. I think it's an awesome idea. Our family didn't do it that way. What we did is we did a lot of arguments and denial, and then some arguments and then denial, and then we went into kind of the whole and talked about it, and then all of a sudden we'd come in on a weekend and go, oh my God, we have to do something tomorrow, today. Has to happen now. So then we make all kinds of horrible mistakes. But anyway, and we've done it every time. We're real good at it, okay? We got that down. But my mom, all of a sudden, oh my God, we have to get her to an assisted care type situation. So we go in, her house, 50 years that they lived in the house, big 2,500 square foot farmhouse with a cellar and 2 big storage rooms full of stuff, and a 52 by 70 pole barn. And in the one corner of the 52 by 70 pole barn, Dad had bought a tandem axle and haul box trucks to put the good stuff. Okay? So the first 3 nights, and by the way, my siblings had the good sense to move out of state. So, it was B. And so my son and I, the first 3 nights at my mom's house, literally this is what happened. We walked through every room, we picked things up and put it back down. We'd end up on the back porch smoking a cigar, drinking a bourbon, and watching the sunset and not do a thing because we couldn't even figure out where to start. And then it was like, just go at it and get it done. I remember being at 3 o'clock in the morning still sweeping the floor of that 52 by 70 pole barn before I left that night. My uncle, now I'm supposed to be an expert. Okay, I am now, I think I know it all. I have been down this road, I've been knocked through the ropes enough times, I should be able to solve this issue, right? He calls me one day and he goes, I think I need to go to the emergency room. Now he's 87, I've been trying to get him out of this upstairs apartment in the hood for 10 years, okay? He liked it, he stayed there, his building was nice, but in the parking lot there was drug deals going on, I was in the building business, his staircase was not the code, I kept waiting to find out that he was going to come crashing down, especially in the wintertime. Turns out he had a stroke, so he had a little bit more off his balance, so now he has a walker. Now that stair is, okay, it's not an option anymore. A unit downstairs comes available. Okay? I don't even see this as a move. We didn't have a truck. We just parked and just carried stuff down and put it in this other unit. Same building, same neighbors he's had for 15 years, same mailbox, same parking spot. In my mind, it's not a move. The seniors that are moving out of their home over a long period of time, statistically, or what they're saying, emotionally, it's as much of an impact to them as a death in the immediate family. Okay? I grossly underestimated this move to him. Because to me, he has new carpet, new appliances, it's 30-year-old stuff, he's in the same building, he didn't move. He just got an upgrade. He didn't see it that way. Okay? We also didn't completely unpack him. We had some boxes and stuff we'd get to later. We didn't get the pictures put up on the wall. I am a Halloween bachelor every year from September 15th until about November, the first week of November. My wife is the head makeup artist at the Indy Screen Park. So every night for that period of time, she's up there making ghouls and goblins and blood and gore, and what have you. So I go, when she's back, we'll come and tidy the place up. I didn't think it was a big deal. He did. Went to a massive depression, had all kinds of issues that we went from there. It got very, very dark, okay? Almost lost him, okay? We set him up for failure, didn't have any idea that we had done so, okay? When they said that, the hospital said that if he goes to assisted care, if he has more social, more structured, we think he'll be fine. We had the weekend to get him into where he is. And this time, when he first saw it, everything was put away. Every picture was on the wall. Everything was labeled. Everything was done. And he has been a success case that they tell other families about because he's on their council. He is an ambassador. He's the vice president of the Garden Club. He was the Gardener of the Year. He puts together all their flower arrangements every Sunday. He is, King Kong over there. And if you want to go see him, you by God better make an appointment. He's got things to do, and he's not sitting there in his room waiting on you. He's got things on, and it's great. I never can find him, so it's awesome. But we set him up for failure, and then we set him up for success, okay? We didn't mean to set him up for failure, and people don't mean to make mistakes. That's why I have these panels, because there's resources there. I posted all the local media, it's been a couple months ago, was pushing a story. And it was salacious. It wasn't a local story, but it was a salacious story, so it made the media. It was an elderly couple that were so overwhelmed with medical debt and the fear and whatever that they had committed suicide. So I posted it with one basic caveat. I said, I understand why you might feel this way. I understand how you can feel this overwhelmed. But it's not a lack of resources. It's a lack of knowledge of those resources. There's plenty of resources to take care of that. He can take care of your money. There's people that's got the money. There's people that can do the care. There's people out there that can do things, okay? And solve it. For most everybody out there, we can solve these problems, okay? But you have to know where to look. You have to know that it exists and where to find it. So that's why I'm having these panels. I want people to know where to look, or at least know to Google, does someone fix this, And that's really what it's about. We want you guys to share this with others. We want you to tell other people we're doing this again next month somewhere else. I don't know where next month. Look, we'll have flyers coming out soon. But anyway, that's kind of why we're doing it. Caring transitions, we take care of a lot of that for people. We can get people, they call up and they have to get to your place and they need to be in. We can have them in there like that. Then we can go back and deal with the house. Okay? The first thing is let's get them there, get the initial stuff.
safe and taken care
Yeah,
of.
you get that done. Then we can also go back, and because all of our people are employees, they're all bonded, they're all insured, and they're all, background checked. We do that to make sure that whatever we find goes to where it's supposed to go, where we find the documents, when we find the money, when we find the jewelry, it goes where it's supposed to go. So you can rest assured, your family can rest assured, we're looking for that for you. We're going through those books, and we're going through money gets pinned to the back of drapes. That's a big place for them, believe it or not. But anyway, so we know where to look and where to find. Am I going to find everything? I don't know. Somebody may be a better hider than we are, but we're going to find everything that's possible. And we can do it in most houses, 3 days to 14 days is the worst. 14 days is an estate sale, because it takes longer to stage it, price it, advertise it, and market it. But 3 to 14 days, we can have people out. The average family takes 9 months. Okay? And it counts this, or they all fly in over the weekend, put a big dumpster in the front yard, and deal with it over the weekend. Okay? I will promise you that lot of hundreds would have gone in the dumpster. Okay? I was talking to a different elder attorney, but he used to be his dad's gopher. His dad was an elder attorney for years. He is now an attorney. He's taking over his dad's practice. But before he had his law license, his dad would send him out on all these tasks. And one of the things they did was the stuff that we do at Caring Transitions, the sorting packs and what have you. And he was telling me, so I just tell a story because, oh my God, it was one of those they found this little tin, cheap dime store box with a little cheesy lock on it. Nobody knew what it was. They finally decided to use a shovel and break the lock to see what was in it, and they found $5 million in stock certificates. No one knew Okay.
My student loans are paid off.
Yeah.
That changed all the dynamics of all the things they needed to do. Okay, but that could have easily been tossed in the trash if you were coming in for the weekend. Okay. All of these people provide services, and that's why, and again, please, if you've got questions for them or any of them or what have you, please do it. But that's why we're here, we all can try to make your lives and your family lives easier.
I think one thing I wanted to add on as far as setting up for success and setting up for failure, none of us even touched on dementia and Alzheimer's, which is a whole other very specific senior care aspect. I'm a certified dementia trainer. I come from, it feels like a line of certified dementia trainers. And IU Saxony in Fishers is officially the first hospital that is certified as dementia friendly. So everybody from the janitor to the front desk to the volunteers to all the way up to the docs have all been trained on how to communicate and how to, I don't want to say deal, but how to work with those who have any form of dementia or Alzheimer's. So that's just a little, I guess, nugget. If you do have that concern, I would look into IU Saxony just because that is, like I said, something that is very relatable and very helpful when you're in a panic situation, like going to the hospital. But if you have any questions about dementia or Alzheimer's or any resources or something as simple as I can't get mom or dad to bathe or I can't get them to eat, you know, I'm happy to help. I know we all have, I'm sure, some form of that training. We didn't touch on that, but that, like I said, that's
How many of you are dementia friends? Okay, so, yeah, so you've taken at least that course.
Yeah.
So that's through SACOA, you can get Dementia Friends program. It's not gonna make you a PhD in dementia, but it's going to help you understand a little bit more about the whole process.
I work a lot with our emergency response teams too. So police officers, firefighters, EMTs, so they all need to also be dementia friendly as well.
By the way, Hamilton County is the first ones of all the,
Yes.
it's the first one in the United States that all of the first responders in Hamilton County are dementia friends and
Yes.
have gone through that class and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And the same thing with in assisted living in my community as in any other assisted living that's licensed or a SNF. Every staff member is trained in dementia care. It's a requirement.
It's not a requirement in home care. However, home care assistants, I'm the one who leads the training every single month, so I make sure that everyone coming through at least has our entry-level dementia training, and then as they're partnered with different clients and their clients' needs progress and change, we'll go in and do more advanced training. But that's another thing, definitely, if you're looking into home care and have a dementia Alzheimer's concern, that's definitely a question you want to ask when you're interviewing companies to work with, so that we can set you up for success.
Any other questions out here? Do any of you guys have questions for each other? Do you have anything that you wanted to say that you guys, oh my gosh, somebody called me again?
You know, actually, I do. I was gonna say, you know, Amber and Carrie talked about it earlier, but make sure your family members know where the important things are at. So things don't happen like Jim mentioned. But one of the services that we offer, and a lot of advisors do now, is we have an encrypted client vault that you can put all of your information into that can be accessed anywhere in the world. And that's very important when people like to travel or if their kids are out of state. As long as they know the passwords, they can find your medical records, they can find your birth certificate, passports, anything that they would need to help you out. Medical directives can all be loaded in there, family pictures can be loaded in there. And the nice thing about what we do is things that aren't necessarily private, it can be put in a place where your advisor can also see it. So instead of having to call around and figure out which family member knows the password, they can call me and be like, Jamie, we're having this crisis, and I can email all the proper information ahead of time and make sure it's there when you get there. So make sure you're asking these questions of your attorneys and your advisors to make sure that you can get things in places where it's very easy to access. Instead of having a drawer in the house that may be 40 miles away or 1,000 miles away, it's right there where you can find it right now when you need it. So just keep those in mind.
Do you guys all have like brochures or anything for people if they want them and stuff? I know at the back table, there's some brochures if you need those. I'm sure people will be here to take some questions if you want some more private questions or what have you. But thank you for coming. So.
Help yourself to a cupcake, please, and feel free to take one home.
Don't tempt me.
So Girl Scout cookies are one of them.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. I'm in.